challenge of the Funhouse. Who is mad enough to enter that world of darkness?
Something is alive in the Funhouse. Something not alive like its father. Something better dead. Something that has the form of a human, but not the face.
This better be good.
It's gonna be great.
Something that feeds off the flesh and blood of young innocents.
Come on, here we go. This is it.
Something that tonight will turn the Funhouse into a carnival of terror.
I don't know what that thing is. I just want to get the hell out of here.
The Funhouse, coming soon from Universal Pictures. The Funhouse. It's a carnival of terror from Tobe Hooper, the director who terrified you with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So The Funhouse, 1981, Tobe Hooper, a film about a deviant group of carny workers who have a funhouse. One particular carny worker with his retarded son, who they go from town to town and they leave a trail of death in their wake. And we find them on one night in this one little tiny town where a bunch of people are going to the carnival.
Yeah, they said it like it's an anywhere USA type town.
Yeah.
This could happen anywhere.
Yes, kind of. And it begins with this like pseudo slasher scene, something out of you were saying Psycho, definitely a Halloween influence with
Yeah,
this.
it's a POV shot.
The POV shot.
Creeping down the hallways into the bedroom and
Yes, as this woman, Amy, our lead character, played by Elizabeth Berridge, is getting ready to take a shower, and this POV is creeping around and takes a knife off the wall and takes a mask, puts the mask over the POV, and just like in Halloween, there's like the slit of the eyes, and
it's
goes
like,
in.
It's almost like a direct rip of the beginning of Halloween as far as the POV shot.
It's a loving homage, yes.
Oh, okay.
And so go into the shower with Elizabeth Berridge, and she's showing some nudes.
Yeah, she's got the flapjacks hanging out.
I don't. She's very natural. She's got a lot of nice natural, and the killer, rushes in and opens up the shower curtain and
dramatically rips the curtain back.
Yes,
and then the knife plunges down, and you realize, it's actually a rubber knife.
It's a rubber knife, and it's Tommy, right?
Her younger brother.
Yes, Tommy, the younger brother. Who, I mean, there is some creepy subtext that he's going in and watching his sister shower. I don't know.
Yeah, Tommy might not have been a stranger to her panty drawer, is what they're kind of intoning in this.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And then she chases him back to his room, and there's a whole little interchange, and
Oh, you Tommy, you mischievous little rascal, you.
Yeah. So she goes on and she's getting ready to go out tonight to the carnival with her on a blind date, basically, or on the first date with Buzz,
who she's been kind of longing after. They intone in the film that she's had this crush on Buzz, and it's just been waiting for Buzz to ask her out on a big date.
Yeah, but the parents are disapproving because Buzz is like a gas station attendant, and but again, Amy's girlfriend Liz and Liz's boyfriend Charlie, have dragged them out, and they're all going to go to the carnival on a double date, basically.
Yeah, so they load up in Buzz's muscle car. And
yes.
Out comes the weed. They start passing the old weed around.
Yeah, they start passing those doobs, and Buzz is played by one of your favorite punching bags,
Cooper Huckabee.
Cooper Huckabee. Kind of has this Richard Hatch / Jeff Bridges type vibe to him, Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica. Miles Chapin. He's been in a few things here. Richie. Liz, I don't know where the hell she went, where she came from. And they make their way to the carnival where the balance of the film takes place. And to me, it felt really real, you know? I mean, it's like this dirt track, you know, in the middle of nowhere. They've set up this carnival with all these rides and attractions and everything. And there's some nice little relationship stuff between Amy and Buzz, because there's some tension that, you know, Buzz is like, you know, because Amy at the beginning is like, maybe let's not go to the carnival, you know, let's go do something else. And Buzz is like, what are you talking about? Well, my old man doesn't want me to go there, you know, your old man doesn't know me, blah, blah, blah. There's some nice little relationship beats there.
Yeah, they do a good job of establishing this sort of realistic fairgrounds where this takes place, where the carnival is,
yes.
And very realistic. And Hooper peppers the scenery with a lot of these carnies that are very eccentric sorts of characters, some of them, and they have the different, like the strongman type, and then the carnival barker type, and then the bearded woman types. I mean, your typical like freak show carnival sorts, and it's set obviously at night. And there's this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think you've seen the film more recently than I have, but don't they kind of divulge through like some sort of news report that Amy's parents are watching on TV as she's leaving, that there were like some bodies found in some adjoining county of like some young kids or something, and it kind of gives you the impression that you know, these people are in for like a night of horrific sorts of activity.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why Amy's parents don't want her to go there, because they've heard that, you know, the last town they pulled out of, there was some children, there was some two dead kids, two dead little girls that were found in that area. And we should also add that while, you know, Buzz and Amy and Liz and Richie are going to the carnival, there's this side story where Tommy, Amy's little brother, was not allowed to go, so he climbs out and runs away and runs to the carnival.
Climbs out the window of his bedroom.
Yeah, he climbs out
to the parents, and
yeah, and so there becomes this issue of this little monster kid who loves, you know, he has pictures of Universal of Frankenstein and everything in his room, you know, going out to the carnival.
So they get to the carnival, and they do take time, which is not a bad thing. I like how they took their time establishing the carnival atmosphere to get you sort of
you feel like you're there.
Guard. You're kind of off your guard, and you're just kind of, they show you go with the characters as they go on like the tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah, they go on rides. Yeah,
there's like a peep show where there's like some sort of where the men go in with their flasks of alcohol and watch the scantily clad women dancing around on the stage. And
yeah, there's a little strongman thing where you know, Buzz
gets to show off his masculine prowess to Amy via the what do they call that, where you sledgehammer the whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Strongman competition.
Yeah, strongman thing. Yeah, and
of course Buzz wins the stuffed animal for Amy.
Of course.
Wins her heart at that moment.
Of course. And all throughout this, you know, Amy is looking at these carnival barkers, and every time she sees a carnival barker, she begins to become entranced with them for some reason. And we see cuts of 3 carnival barkers, remember?
All played by the same actor.
All played by the same actor, by Kevin Conway. There's the carnival barker, remember, in front of the attraction for the Freaks of Nature, where you actually see a real cleft palate cow there. And then there's one for the nudie girls, where he's kind of has this English accent.
He's a little bit... one of them is more reminiscent of like a Yankee Doodle Dandy type outfit, and then
with
there's
the girls.
One, he's more of like a biker. He's got the leather biker vest and the earrings and
yeah, with the Freaks of Nature, and then the main one, the Funhouse.
They're all live, he says. Live. Kevin
They wiggle
Conway's great.
And they dance. Is it something like they wiggle and they dance?
They wiggle and they dance, and they're all live.
They're all live. And every time Amy sees them, she starts getting freaked out, you know. And then she goes and visits a psychic.
played by Sylvia Miles from Psycho, the original.
The great Sylvia Miles, yes, who had by this time had done that Andy Warhol film Heat, where she already had gotten like naked, with Joe D'Alessandro, and now this is just before in the '80s where she did another kind of big role in Oliver Stone's Wall Street, and so yeah, Sylvia Miles, she has a few miles on her in this film, quite literally, and
That's a good one.
I walked into that. I didn't even realize what I was doing there, but
she's depicted as a bit of a trampy sort of crystal ball fortune teller. A bit.
She has this gypsy
whorish looking.
Yeah, she has this gypsy accent, but then it kind of drops it when somebody pisses her off.
She predicts a very disturbing future for our group of teens.
Yes.
Amy specifically.
Kick her off. Yes.
So we at this point they splinter the story off where the teens go through the freak show portion where there's like the freaks of nature, and there are depicted different animals with like two heads and like mutations of like certain sorts of animals.
Yeah, and some real life mutations. As I said, a cleft palate cow, a cow that seems to have two heads, and then the last attraction is this weird deformed fetus in a jar.
Yeah, it's like a canister, some cylindrical sort of.
Yes.
Floating in liquid, sort of, but it's like a mutant fetus.
It's a mutant fetus, which kind of plays into what's going to come later.
So the teens, they go on through their little evening with things, and they end up deciding to partake of the Funhouse attraction.
Yes.
And at this point, we're introduced to this very mysterious sort of character that's kind of been floating around in the periphery behind the Barker, which is this rather large male figure who's dressed up in a Frankenstein outfit, who doesn't talk but just kind of ushers the people onto the ride to go into the Funhouse.
Yes, he seems kind of out of it, and he's wearing that Frankenstein mask and
full Frankenstein regalia.
Yes, with gloves and everything, and he is a little bit out of it.
So they go on the ride, and they do a great job. One of the things I've liked with this film is they do a great job of actually giving you the feeling that you're actually on the ride with them, and you're seeing these sorts of very odd, surreal, creepy sorts of things coming at you, like on the ride.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of too many Funhouse rides that have been illustrated on film. I think, but the only thing Ed Wood, there's a Funhouse scene in that film. But yeah, you're right, and there's lots of colors, and it's a very colorful film. It's a kaleidoscope of colors and images
and sounds
and so. Richie kind of eggs everybody on.
Hey, I've got an idea. Let's spend the night in the Funhouse.
In the Funhouse, yes.
I can see it in my mind's eye, him saying that line.
Yes, because somebody else did it, and he's,
Yeah, so they all, and I'm sure it had nothing to do with Richie wanting to, get laid, basically. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So they decide to bail off of their I guess what would you call them, their carts that they're in on the ride.
Yeah.
They bail out, and we're shown at the conclusion of the ride 2 empty carts that come out, and the Frankenstein-ish
confused. He seems like confused
individual. He's not really sure where these people were or whatever, so you get the feeling this person's like a little mentally deficient.
And,
the Frankenstein character.
Yes.
So at this point, is that when they decide that they kind of skip ahead a little bit in a brief amount of time to show that the carnival's closing up?
Yes, and the young boy, the young Tommy, yes, the young brother of Amy, is looking on at this, and he realizes that they haven't come out of the Funhouse, and he's just like a little bit concerned. So he keeps hanging around, and inside the Funhouse, they're having their little things. They're getting together, both of them,
smoking pot and making out,
and making out, maybe doing a little bit more. I'm not sure if they. I don't know if they do more than make out.
Yeah, because they had their clothes on, I think.
They do.
I think Buzz is like zipping his jeans up in front when they stand up or something.
Yeah,
so who knows how far
well,
they got.
they're both kind of smiling like, "Hey, we got something," but maybe they're just in a makeout session, a heavy makeout session. That's
So they're on this Funhouse is kind of like a 2-story sort of deal.
Yeah, like
it's
most
never,
Funhouses. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. They don't do a great job because it seems like once they're in the Funhouse of making it seem about 5 times larger than it is on the outside.
Yeah, yeah.
But
so they're on a top platform and just in this dark kind of Funhouse, not a lot of light, and below them the light pops on.
Yeah, they notice the lighting comes on because obviously with the Funhouse shut down, there's very limited lighting, so it draws their attention over. So
and they look down.
All 4 of them kind of go to the planks and they start peering between the planks.
Yeah, below
because
them.
they hear some conversation. Yeah, below them. And at this point, Sylvia Miles' character, the fortune teller, comes into a room, and it looks like a medium-sized utility sort of room.
Yeah,
where they have like the like some of the, I guess, the electrics, the fuse boxes and whatnot, and it's like a little bit of a utility sort of storage room. And the Frankenstein dressed individual is coming in with Sylvia's character, and they enter this room, and there's a little bit of verbal play between the two of them, and you start to realize that Sylvia Miles' character is basically got something worked out with this individual who's in the Frankenstein outfit, that there's going to be an exchange of sexual servicing on her end to him for money. So before this ensues, of course, she wants the money. So she basically coaches this individual who doesn't talk, he just grunts through his mask and whatnot.
Yes.
To go to the coffers, the little bankroll box where they keep all of the money from the carnival for the evening.
Yes.
And under lock and key, one of those little lock safe things.
Yes.
And he gets into that, retrieves some money, some dollars, and you're not sure how much at the time, and gives it to her, and they pretty much put it out there that she's filleting this particular individual for about 10 seconds? She's administering fellatio to him.
I didn't get that idea.
Really?
No.
Was it a hand job or something?
I thought. Well, I think first of all, he gives her. He tries to give her like a 25 or 50. He gives her 100.
And this was in 1981.
Yeah.
So I mean,
$100. Yeah, it goes a long way. And then she just is laid down. She turns off the light, and it seems like I think. The minute that
he's got a little premature problem.
Yeah, he just explodes, and
he gets excited and makes a mess apparently. And
I don't know.
He becomes quite frustrated that he doesn't think he got his money's worth out of it.
Yes, so he becomes violent and crazy and throws her against the electrical box and all this crazy sparking stuff, and then he kills her. And then this kind of sets in effect. The fact that the electrics in this funhouse then go insane. They go crazy. And throughout the rest of the film, it seems like the funhouse, the electrics in the funhouse are kind of taking on a life of their own. Did you notice that? Like the outer mechanics of the funhouse are beginning to work, and like all this weird, the lights start to come on because he's killed this woman, electrocuted her.
Yeah, a lot of this funhouse has a lot of animatronic characters.
Yes.
It's not just like sounds and little creature things that pop out. It's actually like fully animated characters that are animatronic. So one of the creepy things when you're watching the film is you look like you're looking at in the dark, and from certain angles and distances, there could possibly be a threat around any corner where one of these characters is actually not animatronic, but in reality a real character. So what happens is after Sylvia Miles' character has been dispatched,
yes, they're all freaked out.
Yeah, they're all freaked out, but they have to remain quiet because obviously they don't want to draw attention to themselves because they're not supposed to be in the funhouse.
Yeah.
So this individual in the Frankenstein outfit leaves the room, and that's when the teens decide as a group to go down and to try and find a way out. To get out of the funhouse because they're like, well, this is kind of wild, this is crazy, we need to get out of this place. and
they go to check on her.
Yeah, they go to check on her, and they check a couple of doors, and they find out everything's been locked and with chains as well, to where like you can't just kick the door in and get out of this place. They're locked in for the evening. And is that that's when you realize? So they go back up, right? They go back upstairs, and that's when Kevin Conway's character comes in with the guy.
Yes, and yes, the Frankenstein.
He proceeds to get mad at the character in the Frankenstein outfit, and you start to realize that the carnival barker, through their dialogue, is actually this individual's dad or father.
Yes,
and he starts becoming very verbally abusive to this character in this outfit, and starts really getting belligerent with him and telling him, once he realizes that the character has killed Sylvia Miles' character, and they're like, oh, you did it again, boy, you really fucked up this time, and he starts getting all freaky dinky with yelling at the Frankenstein character.
Yeah, but then it gets to another level when he's like, oh, you paid her $100, and then he goes to put the $100 back into his cash box, and he realizes all the money's gone.
Yeah, the big wad of money that was in there earlier.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, what's going on here?
Yes.
And so that, well, actually before that though, we have the big denouement of what's going on with this guy under the mask, under the Frankenstein mask.
No, that's not before. No, that's
not yet. Okay.
No, because remember, he just goes crazy, because obviously one of the kids, it's revealed that Richie has stolen the money.
I remember that.
And he just starts slinging the cash box around, and the carney's like, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money?
What'd you do, boy? Where's it at, boy?
Yeah.
God damn it, boy.
Yeah.
So he starts getting freaked out, and he starts just becoming extremely angry and belligerent at the individual in the Frankenstein getup.
Yeah.
And the individual starts, in the Frankenstein outfit, just starts freaking out and going wild, and just in a frenzied rush of like bouncing around and spinning around up against in the corner there. And at some point he just it reaches this crescendo where the individual grabs this mask and just rips it off of himself, and underneath it you're looking at this horrific looking mutated fang mouth looking individual.
Yes, like a cleft palate, but like a cleft forehead, and with red eyes, and with pale skin, and weird hair, and crazy, and fangs. As you said,
and
salivating, always drooling, always snotting.
Great Rick Baker makeup.
Yeah, Rick Baker. Yeah, designed it, sculpted the mask. It was molded and painted by Craig Reardon.
And so at this point, you realize, wow, we're in a horror film.
Yes,
this is like a real freak, and the look of the creature still holds up today as being really, really creepy.
Yeah, and in the limited amount of time you really see it,
Yeah, they're good about not just like overkilling the whole look, the gimmick of the look of the creature.
Yeah.
But so in the ensuing moments of all of this going on, Richie he's leaning over
and drops the lighter.
He's got a cigarette lighter in his upper breast pocket, and it slips out and falls between the planks and drops on the floor between the carnival barker and we're going to refer to him as the mutant, I guess.
Yes, the mutant, yes.
So, basically, at that point, everything goes quiet. The carnival barker realizes, hey, we're not alone.
Yes.
There's somebody watching us, and they've seen what has ensued down here. So he starts trying to sweet talk him, and I know you're up there. Come on down. We can talk about this. We can work something out. Everything's all right. He's trying to placate them.
Yes.
And they're not falling for it.
Yes.
So he basically realizes that he needs to send the mutant on a hunt to ferret him out of the funhouse. So
yes.
This is where the real horror starts in the film.
Yes, and it's taken us a long time to get to that point in this film, but at the same time, he's able to sustain it for a little while as well.
Yeah, Hooper does a good job of that. I remember it being like something like 40, 42 minutes before you even get to this point in the film.
Yeah.
But it's not boring. I mean, it's at least to me. I mean, if you're used to watching like Saw or something, and that's what you consider, a great horror film, then you might be about 5 or 6 minutes into this film and completely take a shit on it. But I mean, it's a great Tobe Hooper classic, and you have to remember this came after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Tobe Hooper actually being the director of that film, and Salem's Lot, I believe was his. Did he do Salem's Lot directly before this? Because that's like 79.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, Tobe Hooper had his big breakout with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then he did Eaten Alive. And then he was involved with a lot of films which he didn't direct. He was almost directed that film The Dark, if you've ever seen that movie. He almost directed Motel Hell. He was involved with that. And then he got Salem's Lot. At the same time he was doing Salem's Lot, he got the deal to do The Funhouse, which was started as a small movie, but then they got the financing through Mace Neufeld, who was the producer of the Omen films, and got picked up by Universal.
Yeah, this was an MCA Universal.
Yes, and got a lot bigger.
So at this point in the film, we basically have it like being a cat and mouse sort of thing.
Cat and mouse, yes.
But it's really neat because you never know where this mutant is going to come from, and what goes on is you experience things as the teen characters, the four of those characters experience it in the funhouse, and
yes,
there's this frenzied rush to try and find some way out of this enclosed funhouse to get out of this horrific sort of night that these people are having. So there's this feeling of ominousness and dread, and they
one by one they get iced.
Yeah, they start getting picked off one by one, and so do we want to jump to the end and start discussing other things about the film, or what do you?
Well, I mean, they get iced. Pretty much. It starts with Richie. Remember, in this incredible scene, he gets hung. And the money that he stole just flitters into the air, and
trap door opens under his feet as the noose goes. And then they have the lightning flashing as the noose goes around his neck.
The ending of the film, especially after Liz gets killed, she gets in the trap door, and then
she falls through to like it's like a fan duct unit, and the creature. That's interesting. We have to take a moment to talk about that, because as I recall with that, you feel in a certain way a little bit sympathetic towards the mutant, because although he's obviously the bad guy and he's murdering these kids, he sometimes exhibits some sort of feeling where he's just a freak. Like he doesn't
know what he's doing.
Yeah, like he's been used as like some sort of conduit of violence through the father to exact this sort of these deaths on not only these group of kids but on previous occasions.
He just don't know no better.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
What happens is that Liz finds herself in the fan air duct somewhere on the underside of the funhouse.
Yeah.
She falls through a trap door and ends up down there, where she's looking down on one side of her to the right the duct is going into the dark. Can't tell where it's going, and then she's looking down to her left, and it's the rotary fan down there spinning, so she only has one real way to try and get out of there, but then all of a sudden the mutant drops down in there, and she starts trying to play up to it and trying to seduce it almost in a way, but in a very maternalistic sort of way. Yeah. And he ain't buying it. Yeah. So he ends up running her through with like a knife or scissors or something.
Remember the dagger that Richie had also fell down, and she takes that, and he starts to embrace her, and she stabs him in the back.
He still wants some more loving.
Yeah, and she stabs him in the back, and then he, with his claws, just rips her apart. And we see it's off screen and in the dark, but it suggests that he's just, his claws, you see it's full of blood as he's just slashing into her.
Well, the other thing about the film that I recall is there are a lot of times where they put the characters literally within eyesight of the outside of the funhouse.
Yes.
And they're always within, because at one point one of the female characters, I forget if it's Liz or if it's Amy, but they're actually yelling, trying to yell to verbally get someone's attention.
And again, they've got those fans,
fans spinning so fast that no one can hear them on the outside of the funhouse. So they do a job of amping up the tension to where you're like, oh, are they gonna get somebody's attention? Are they gonna be able to flag down some help? But alas, it's not to be.
No. But the end of the film with Amy just running through the funhouse, with all those primary colors and the lightning strikes, it's something out of Suspiria, really. It's that stylized, and with the reds and greens, and it really brought my mind to Suspiria towards the end, how it gets really theatrical and colorful like a kaleidoscope.
Yeah, and the main heroine at the end of the film ends up getting the mutants. At this point, Buzz apparently wasn't quite as heroic as he believed himself to be in the beginning of the film, because Buzz gets fucking waxed pretty.
Yeah, he gets whacked pretty.
And Kevin Conway, the Barker, there's a confrontation with him, and there's this whole deal where he ends up getting killed.
He runs him through with a sword.
Yeah, and so at this point, we're left in the film with Amy's character and the mutants, and there's this whole big chase through the funhouse, and they end up in the it's a room of gears that I guess run the carts through the funhouse, and they operate the various.
Yeah, we get to the machinery of the funhouse in that scene, and there is this confrontation where Amy manages to get the creature and shove him against. She starts hitting him with a crowbar, and pushes him into the electrical outlet, and again, just like with Sylvia Miles, it blows up and starts sparking, and he gets caught in the gears and eaten up quite literally.
And it's all live.
It's all live.
So we're left a very interesting final sort of scene at the film where Tommy's at the fairgrounds there, and the mom and dad are there at this point too, right?
Well, that's still at night. That's remember, because they see Amy sees Tommy and the parents as they're picking him up, with that Carney Barker who finds him.
Okay. So is it at the end of the film? If I just remember the shot of, it's like a kind of an overhead shot where they kind of pull back, and I think it's becoming like early AM where there's the dawn is sort of breaking, and she's just got the runny mascara, and she's just it's reminiscent of like the end of the Texas Chainsaw, where the female heroine has just lived this night of horrific horror that's occurred, and she's just kind of like huddled up on the fairgrounds in the gravel dirt, just on her knees, I believe, just kind of crying because of everything that's occurred. And then around her you see the beginnings of like some activity from different members of the Carney group walking around doing whatever, and you realize you've just lived this whole horrific night with these characters, and you've been through it with them, and it's just there's a lot of creepy stuff in the film and a lot of tension. You're definitely on the edge of your seat through a lot of the film, the last half especially. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny. I didn't make that connection between Elizabeth Barrage at the end of Funhouse and Marilyn Burns at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I guess you could make that. Yeah, absolutely, you can make that parallel. And also, well, there's a lot of parallels, because I mean, I'm sure probably one of the reasons why Tobe Hooper got this project was, okay, he's good at rural characters. He's good at crazy rural characters. Let's have him do carnies, And the evil carny in this film, you could make a parallel between him and the cook in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The monster in this film, which Tobe Hooper dubbed Cowman after he saw some of the initial rough sculpture, design sculptures. The Cowman could be seen as like Leatherface. He has that kind of same kind of bumbling, yet
grunting sort of animalistic presence.
Yeah, and he was originally because one of the producers on this film was an assistant director on King Kong, which Rick Baker had worked on, and they wanted him to make the creature and also play the creature, because he'd played the King Kong in King Kong. He actually performed the part, and he thought he was way too small to do the role, to do justice, because this is like a big, like Leatherface, like a big guy. And they got this Wayne Doba, who was a San Francisco mime, because I think Tobe Hooper wanted an actor, and he's probably smaller than Rick Baker. So I'm not sure that didn't quite work out the way everyone planned, but still.
Yeah, one of the things about the film is the imagery of these iconic Universal monsters like Dracula and Wolfman and Frankenstein play throughout the film. All the way from when you're introduced to what Tommy's room looks like with these Universal horror posters and Aurora model kits of the monsters.
Yeah, I think he threw that in because it was a Universal film and he could use the Universal monsters.
So there's a lot of that through that, and
Bride of Frankenstein, Clipper Bride.
Yeah, I remember that now that you mentioned that. And I think it's a very, very solid horror film. One of my favorites. One of the interesting things about that film to me personally is that's one of the earliest theatrical films I actually was taken to. My mother took me to go see that, and I was probably like kindergarten to first grade age at the time. And I remember, specifically, I remember the scene where Richie's character, at some point, Richie, when he first gets the noose around his neck and the trap door opens and everything, you think you're not going to see Richie ever again. And there's a clever little thing that they do in the film where Buzz gets a hold of a fire axe, and the remaining three, the two girls and Buzz, they're all jumping. They're ready to attack, to defend themselves, the first sign of anything that is a threat to them. So what happens at one point, the carts become active and start running through the funhouse, and they see this character,
the silhouette of a figure,
sitting on in one of the carts. So Buzz believes that to be one of the protagonists that is after them. So Buzz brings the axe down on top of the head of the individual, and as it comes through a source of light, you see it's actually Richie, that Buzz has stuck the axe in the top of his head. And I remember that scene when I saw it in the theater and going, wow, because I mean, it's like, here's this guy coming at you on this cart, and he's got like his head split with an axe sticking out the top of it. I remember that very vividly, and I remember the poster too, seeing that when I was a kid, of these fanged teeth and lips that are gnarled up with the saliva dripping off of it. It's like, who can survive or something, or what is it? It's you pay to get in, you pray to get out. Was that the theatrical poster that you saw when you saw it? I remember that on video, but I think the theatrical poster was a different one.
Because the poster I remember, or the VHS art I remember, is the one of the clown, the kind of demonic looking clown.
Yeah, and it says pay to get in, pray to get out. That's on the video, I know that. But on the poster, it was something like, I don't know, there's a whole different write-up on that from what I recall. But I remember more like the imagery of just seeing like the lips and the sharp teeth, and you're like, what kind of monstrosity is going to be depicted in this film? So, what a nice film for a young lad to get taken to in his kindergarten years. But definitely the film stuck with me. It's one of those I watch just about annually. It's one of those fun sorts of Halloween films to watch that are personal favorite horrors of mine. I grew up in that time where, besides like the Romero zombie films and stuff along those lines, I'm a big 80s slasher fan. So I'm a big fan of like not only the Funhouse, but My Bloody Valentine, The Prowler, The Burning, of course, the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, Prom Night, Terror Train, just those sorts of films. So this falls in nicely with that early 80s slasher sort of horror genre.
I guess so. I mean, it was definitely, in 80, 81 when everything was heating up, and Friday the 13th was released, and Salem's Law television series, and everything was starting to heat up. Tobe Hooper, people kind of, they portray him as this kind of grungy filmmaker. He made this grungy film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but he always wanted to be a big budget movie filmmaker. The films he loved as a kid were big budget movies. He wanted to make these big films, you know, and his career trajectory, it's like, it really, at that point, he was moving strength upon strength. He was going from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead, or rather Eaten Alive, which really wasn't his film. It was taken away from him. Then he goes to the Funhouse, and then to Poltergeist, really. So, and the Funhouse is a really like a studio film. You know, it's got a big score, which is full of this kind of crazy carny music and stuff, and it's great. You know, it was shot in Miami, Florida. They moved the carnival. They found this carnival in Akron, Ohio, and moved it down to behind in Miami, Florida, behind Ivan Torres' studio, the place where they shot Flipper.
Oh, how nice!
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not sure exactly sure why they did that. I'm probably on the special edition Blu-ray from Arrow. There's some more information on why. I think it had something to do with labor laws, with child labor laws. That they could shoot at different times in Florida, and they, you know, probably there's tax incentives and things going on like that. But
so what was the first time that you actually came across this film?
Probably renting it on VHS in the late 80s.
And this is a scope film, so probably if you saw it in pan and scan, I know when I saw it on video, there was a huge difference between that and the Laserdisc when I first saw it in widescreen.
Yeah, you know, I oddly enough, the Funhouse, there's a lot of minuses to watching, you know, because it's a 235, it's a scope film, watching all pan and scan and those grungy early 80s Universal video transfers. But at the same time, I don't know. Towards the end, the Suspiria-like colors weren't there in that transfer. But I thought that last scene in the gear house with the monster being killed, I thought it was a lot scary because it was so damn murky you couldn't even really understand what the hell was going on.
Well, and plus it probably seemed more claustrophobic.
It was claustrophobic and murky. Yeah, it was like it was all messed up. It gave the scene a lot more tension. Then when you see it in 235, and it's actually not quite convincing. That end shot where the guy is supposed to be between the two gears and being eaten up. He doesn't. It's not really a nice looking shot at all. Actually, when you really see what's going on, actually.
Well, the currently the Blu-ray is out, as John mentioned, the Arrow video version
in the UK.
In the UK, and the DVD that is the only format that's been released here in the U.S. That's actually a good widescreen transfer of the film from what I recall seeing it. It used to be one of those old Good Times,
yeah,
like cardboard pop cases, little snap cases. That came out about the time that Halloween 2 did. The original Halloween 2, by the way, not that Rob Zombie travesty, but
yeah, I
remember those Good Times. Those two DVDs got released, those snap cases, like within a short time of one another. Sometime like in '97 or something,
yeah,
like around Halloween, and it's just a fun movie to go back and watch. And it's not a whole hell of a lot to pick up. I think like I've seen it at a local retail store for like something like $7.99, and I'm sure you can get it like on one of your Amazons or deep discounts or something for like under $10. And I think it's a worthy purchase if you're into those early 80s slasher sorts of films.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you love Tobe Hooper, if you love Funhouses, if you love carnivals, and if you love life, you will love the Funhouse.
And if you love weed.
And if you love weed, I guess that's what we're saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in the film.
Well, yeah, and it also becomes a plot device because remember that with the lighter, they're smoking these doobs, and Charlie's smoking these doobs,
yes.
and then
there's that. Actually, you brought up a good point. There's that cliche of drugs and sex equal death in slasher films.
Yes.
Because if they didn't have the weed and they weren't interested in having the sexual activity, they wouldn't have gotten into trouble that night.
Exactly. And we also should mention that Dean Koontz, the famous horror writer, did the adaptation, the book, the novelization.
Well, there's a book that I was familiar with that was written called The Funhouse, but from I've seen the book and I'd flipped through it, and I was under the impression that it actually was not the same book, because there's more of like a supernatural element to that particular novel. Did he actually do like a real adaptation of that?
He did a novel. He did a novelization of the Funhouse under a different name.
Oh, okay.
And it was released before the movie came out because the movie had a lot of problems, and Tobe Hooper had to leave. It was only like a 30-day shoot. It was stretched to 37 days, and then Tobe Hooper had to leave to do this movie in England called Venom, which he was actually removed from. So yeah, he was bopping between a lot of different films at that point. So yeah.
Well, good film.
Yes.
Go check it out if you're into those horror, early 80s horror, as we said.
Yes.
And don't forget, it's all a lie.
Indeed.